There are softer examples that turn out to be very powerful at the beginning. So one of them was a bit grandiose, was to inject what we called Silicon Valley or digital thinking DNA into the bloodstream of this very large successful company. And I made this observation in my first 6 months when I joined the company, that there were many executives who traveled to Silicon Valley and other innovation hubs around the world and had actually very good, deep relationships. But at the end of the day, they were still business tourists. You know, they were being invited to the party, but they weren't actually hosting the party. And one of the things that I set up as a goal was to make sure that we had people who had sort of been born in that system and were influencing the way the decisions were being made in the mothership. So a soft goal. So what I did is I organized a trip, and I called it the Silicon Valley Road Trip. And first of all, you have to explain what a road trip is, because it turns out to be a uniquely American concept. And speaking of commitment from the top, what we did is we identified the top 25 people in the whole company, and frankly mandated that they carve out a week of their time and come with me to visit startups, influencers, investors. We had a few journalists, et cetera, and really got them to soak in the culture and the way these companies operated, the way they thought, not just for a day or a half day, but for a week, and vice versa. And
so what were some of those takeaways from this road trip? Well,
so one of the things that was really surprising is that this had never happened before. I mean, these are people who are running multi-billion-dollar businesses, and they might come together at a company sort of event for a day, a half day, but to spend that kind of sustained time was just something that they didn't think they could afford to do. And one of the takeaways, I remember one person telling me, a very senior person, who said, you know, I always thought people in Silicon Valley were motivated for the return, to turn their equity into a fortune. And while that's a motivation certainly for people who are entrepreneurs, what I think they were struck by was the missional sort of nature of what top companies, people who are founders and employees of top startups, the way they think. I mean, when they say we want to change the world, they really want to change the world, and it's not just a job. And I think that was really felt. And then the other, in terms of unintended consequences, is that it kind of turned into a summer camp type thing, where you had these people who had been basically driven in their town cars or the equivalents wherever they went, and we put them on a bus together, traveling on bumpy roads up and down. And they actually bonded over time. And so the discussions that you want to have across divisions or across groups turned into really deep, interactive, substantive exchanges that continued after the trip.